bedrooms because of the kids and all this, the school district they want. But it's hard for them to get into that because of the cost of homes in that area. So the ones they're looking at are kind of fixer-uppers.
Well, what is interesting is we've worked with many clients where they're looking at that. They may not have been looking at a fixer-upper, and they may not have a lot of experience doing that type of project in the past. So they really have no clue even how far will their dollar go on that kind of project. Can they get a new kitchen? Can they do the new windows? Can they get the hardwoods refinished? They just don't even know. So we have actually consulted with some people on some of those larger scale projects and said, okay, ballpark wise, you need at least this amount of budget to really add the value back and get it back to true market value condition. And then how do you do that? From the design point of view, we can then come back in after the fact, after they close and stuff, and then help them with the selection so that they have secured the value by making the right choices. Mm-hmm. Because, we were talking out as we were waiting out there, and we were talking about how the fact is bad additions or bad kitchens or whatever, they put that kind of money into it. Now, if they need to sell the house 4 years down the road, now they're really stuck because they're not going to be able to sell it because they've made bad choices.
Well, that's important that you're working with the right professionals on the front end, right? Somebody said a long time ago, begin with the end in mind. And I can tell you what kind of design is going to be able to sell on the back end, because we sell houses. That's what we can tell you. And I've seen some nightmare additions. You brought that up.
Absolutely.
They've got X number of square feet added on
right.
in the worst possible ways. And there's no way they're going to get their money back out of that project. They should have been working with somebody who understands on the front end.
Absolutely.
How to take advantage from a design, from a real estate resale, from a layout, and so on and so forth.
Well, and if you've never done any fixer-up projects, that might seem like, you go into some of these houses and people think it's a huge amount of work, where somebody that's does this for a living goes in and says, it's really not. I know it looks like a huge amount of work, but here's what you've got to do, and you can break it down to a smaller amount of work really that needs to be done.
Well, and you can always break out the priorities as well. So if you can't do everything, here's where you're going to have the most bang for your buck. This is where we're going to add the most value. Discuss the red flags or the mistakes that people make so that person doesn't fall into that trap. One of the things that really annoys me is the scale of rooms. Like they have a house that's really small and then they do those huge additions. Well, it feels like you're in two different houses.
Yeah, and it looks like it.
Yeah. And no matter what kind of design you put in there, it's always going to feel out of balance, out of kilter, and people don't know why they don't like a house when they go into it, but they just know they don't like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And our staging part of the business can solve some of those problems because we can, stage to the degree that we can stage them and make them understandable.
Yeah, I was just going to say that even some of the rooms where you're like, I don't know what I would do with this, if you're putting things in it, you're saying all of a sudden you can go in and say, oh, well, that makes sense. Yeah, that would be a great use for that space, where if it's empty, you may not see it the same way.
Right. But, it takes a little bit of experience to know.
Well, it does. It takes more than a little bit of experience. You want to be working American Dreamer with the right professionals who will help you not take that misstep, who will help you understand what questions, what priorities are there for your projects. And so we've invited Darla Rowley with Imperial Impact Design Solutions to sit in to talk with you more about what kinds of projects really do pay off. One, in the enjoyment factor, and two, and a resale value as well. And we've invited Jamie Nummer, a mortgage expert, and we're going to talk about 3 different financing possibilities for you to think about how to get from here to there on the dollar side of this discussion so that you can own your dream. Because if you will take personal responsibility for your dream, you can also achieve your dream. Stay tuned. You're listening to Michigan Real Talk.